Welcome back in, kids, to Deadman's Books. This week we are going to be talking about The Road by Cormac McCarthy. The Road was a book that I read in the pandemic of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic, and I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time and I had a son on the way, and it was such an impactful book. It impacted me as a parent, and it changed the way that I viewed parenting, and it changed the mindset that I had for what I wanted to leave my children. I want to make sure that I leave them something worthwhile. I want to make sure that I am leaving them more than just memories. I want to make sure that I am leaving them, I guess, a legacy in a sense. That's what's kind of left with the father and the son in The Road. But it was just a really good book. It's one of my favorites of all time. And I've got Jason Crockett. He's going to come in and talk about this one on this episode. And this is one of his favorite books of all time as well. It's also a book that changed the way that he parented as well. I thought it was really fitting, though, because during the recording of this episode, my oldest daughter, I picked her up from school and she was in the classroom again. So you're going to hear a lot of noise from her in this one. It was coloring on my smart board. She was doing all kinds of stuff in the background. But, I thought to be covering a book about parenting that it was really fitting. And, this is honestly, this idea of this podcast was born from some things that this book has led me to in parenting. Also, at the end of this episode, I thought it was cool. Annie has been asking to do a podcast, and so we're going to get a little bit of her talking about her favorite book right now, Mercy Watson. So hang on. This was a long episode. I know it's long, and I'm sorry. We talk about some heavy stuff in this one, and then we got Annie's episode at the end of that. So thank you. I hope you enjoy. So to keep you from waiting any longer, because you're going to be listening hopefully for a long time, this is Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Is this your favorite book?
It's definitely on my Mount Rushmore of books, which you and I were going to talk about at some point in the future. I know that my favorite book I've mentioned before is Stephen King's The Stand, but Cormac McCarthy's book, The Road, is the first book of Cormac McCarthy's that I remember reading, and it impacted me early on in my time as a father, and it has stayed with me ever since then. So it's definitely among my Mount Rushmore books.
Yeah. Well, do you care to give us a synopsis of The Road?
Sure. The Road is Cormac McCarthy's work of a post-apocalyptic scenario, or an apocalyptic scenario because it's ongoing. The world is coming to an end. We don't really get any reasoning why, it just is. And the world is getting darker, colder, fires have laid ash everywhere, and the world is dying. Your main character is the man, and your other main character is the boy, a father and son duo, and the father has one imperative goal left, which is to get his son south to warmer territory. Whether that warmth actually exists, whether it will last, whether it's an end goal that's actually achievable is somewhat dubious, but it is the imperative of all life, of all parents, of all creatures to protect the young and get them to the next safety point. And that's what the father's going to spend the rest of the book trying to do. He has to navigate cannibals, dangerous weather, whatever, to get there.
So we were talking earlier about, I feel like, I think all dystopias that I have read are governmental based, but this one is not. What do you take from that?
The great thing about dystopia is that you take utopia, the perfect world, and you push it one step too far. And if you're absolutely right. So many of the dystopias that we teach at high school and beyond are governmental based. They're satires, or they're accusatory fingers that we point at government gone wrong. 1984 with Big Brother, Fahrenheit 451 with the banning of books. But really, utopia could be anything. You think of a society of beautiful people. I'm thinking of an episode of Twilight Zone where you have a society of beautiful people who cannot allow the ugliness to exist. And so that's their dystopia, is that they went one step too far in exiling beauty.
Which is also a James Bond plot.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Which one is
Moonraker?
That's one I haven't read. How about that?
Well, it's not the plot in the book, but it is in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, Hugo Drax is wanting to make a master race.
Oh man,
so stupid. the classic master race. It's so original.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You think about this dystopia. Is it a social accusation? Because it's definitely not government. It's not even pointing at anything socially that people have done wrong. It's not a group that has caused any of this to happen. It's really more just the big question of if humans are put into such extreme circumstances, it questions our humanity. What are we going to do? Because you honestly have only one parent figure here. I don't know if you wanted to wait to talk about this. Where's the mother figure? The mother, we find out, committed suicide earlier. She and the father had found out about the apocalypse starting early on in her pregnancy. And she stayed around long enough to deliver the baby and some time after. But the mother loses hope. She loses the possibility to stick things out. And we don't know how it happened, but we know that she takes her own life. And the father cannot let go of that hope yet. He, for the sake of the boy, he has to continue with this. So the human question in his case is he just can't give up. But you find plenty of other characters who've lost their humanity in the course of this, and now they're reduced to cannibalism or monstrous, brutal acts, right? So I guess this dystopia is not an accusation or a judgment on government or social cues. It's just about our own humanity when it comes down to the grit.
You were talking about how it's not governmental. There was like no one to blame, I guess, or no one to try to revolution. Did McCarthy write this with his son in mind, didn't he? Did I read that correctly? That he had, I feel like maybe I saw that on an Oprah interview or something like that.
Oh, I don't know. That's great.
I think so. I may be wrong. So to me, I wonder if he just had this concept of this father and son sharing things, because he had his son. I mean, he was an old man, right? Or older when he had his son, yeah.
I think Cormac McCarthy was born a little old man, I think, an angry old man. I think he was actually born that way. When did you first read this?
Okay. I read this, I think it was the year that I was down in the freshman hall. So that would have been 2020?
Oh, so 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were already a parent by the time you read this. So Annie was around. Hollis was around.
No, Hollis had not been born yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it was before Hollis.
Before Hollis.
So this is the pre-Hollis time, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't have, the man didn't have the son
I didn't have a son, no.
But you still had
a daughter.
Yeah. You can't escape reading this book through a parent's eyes, right?
Yeah.
So either way, Annie, Hollis, doesn't matter. You're looking at it through what would I do to protect that kid?
Yeah.
I wonder how this would have hit you if you had read it in high school.
Okay, so I use The Road for an example in class when we talk about theme, because, as you know, you and I could have different themes from the same book. They're unlimited. Kyle Goff and I read this, and Kyle read this right after me, which his daughter and Annie are the same age. I think they're 2 weeks apart. But Kyle is involved in local government and stuff like that, and he kind of viewed it as a commentary on government, and I can't remember exactly all that it was, but because my first thought was the parenting aspect of it, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, he said he saw that, but to him it was more of a commentary on the government. So I didn't know if that was like a, not that he's a great dad,
but
just like a mindset of because he was still active in his stuff. And I think that I started reading this really when we broke for the pandemic. So I think that's when I picked it up. Because
I'd really like to get his take on why government. Like, what's his angle on this?
I don't know. I would have to ask him. But,
Okay.
I mean, and Kyle's a prolific reader, so there's probably a ton of stuff we could have him.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, but I do remember when I read it though. I've told you this. You and I were not as close as we are now, and I had heard you talk about it, and so I ordered it on McKay's, and it was the first McCarthy I'd ever read, and I was just kind of like, what is this guy saying right now? Because there were no quotation marks, and I had not seen anything like that. And eventually I started to get it. It took me about 100 and 150 pages to get into it, but eventually I got there.
So the cool thing about that is 100% Cormac McCarthy is a challenge for new readers of Cormac McCarthy to wrap their heads around, because he doesn't give the cues for dialogue. And this is another overlap. We should probably ask Charles Frazier about this if we ever get to talk to him.
If he's listening now.
If he's listening right now, I'd love to know his take. But I always kind of wondered if there wasn't a connection between Cormac McCarthy's style and William Faulkner's style. We always teach about William Faulkner's stream of consciousness. And there's times when Cormac McCarthy seems to wander or meander into a stream of consciousness narrative. So that can be challenging for new readers. I know that I first read this in 2003 or 4 because I was a new father, and Andy was sleeping in a crib at the end of my bed. And I was reading it in bed at night, and it was the scene where the man and the boy are having to hide in the woods while the cannibals wait on the road, their caravan, and the one comes into the woods, and the man has a pistol, but he only has 2 bullets. And it's a pretty gritty reason why is because in case we ever need it, I have one for me and one for the boy so that we don't get taken by. But in this scenario, he gets like in a really sticky dilemma of, do I use it on this threat? And I remember that being reading it in my bed, feeling like I'm threatened in my own home, thinking there's no way you get out of this. But also reading that book through the eyes of being a new father and thinking I would do anything to protect that kid, son, daughter, doesn't matter. And then a couple of years ago, I gave it to Andy as a Christmas gift. And I wrote him a note in the front, like we do, about how important the book was to me and how important he is to me. And my kid gave me a hug for Christmas.
That's awesome.
It was so good, right?
That's awesome.
And he and I still talk about that book.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes wish you would have waited until he had his first kid to gift it to him and say, hey, this is...
See, that's why I asked you, like, I wonder how this would have hit if we had had you read this in high school.
Yeah.
Because
I would have missed the parent stuff, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Maybe, but humans are humans are humans.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a person with clear empathy for other people. So I think that you could appreciate it.
Yeah, I think though, like, I guess that's what I try to explain to my students is your life experiences shape how you read. And so I would have seen that and thought that it was neat, but it would not have been as impactful.
Yeah.
You know, I think that this is probably the first book that I read and wept when I got to the end of it. You know, I mean, it was so impactful. I don't know that I'm probably going to get choked up at some point in this podcast, to be honest with you, when I think about it. I think if I would have read it in high school, the cannibal stuff would have been cool. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, this is crazy. These people are cannibals and stuff like that. But
well, that's another thing too of Interstellar is one of my favorite movies. If I have a Mount Rushmore of movies, Interstellar's up there too. And you can appreciate that movie for what it is. Yeah. But you watch it through the eyes of a father who's screaming at his daughter, don't let me go, right? Imagine Annie, and you are in that bookshelf looking back 30 years, don't let me go. Yeah. It hurts as a father watching your storyline evaporate. Yeah. So, yeah, it does change for you. From the very beginning of it, do you have any parts that stand out to you other than the cannibals?
Well, we've talked, I think, a couple of weeks ago about when they reached the cellar. Do you remember that? And that was just such a paradise. And that's kind of in the middle of the book, right?
Yeah,
kind of in the middle. They had already been through so much, and he finally found this place, and he was able to share stuff from his childhood that he didn't think he would have a chance to, like the Coca-Cola and stuff like that, even though he said it was flat, you know.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, I hope that they never leave. I want this book to end right here. This is where I want it to end. So I remember that part being one that stands out. I also remember the part where they saw the people. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
That's when we frequently talk about as teachers, I know, that we, whether it's me, you, or somebody else, we talk about the people at the end and were they necessarily good that we find them at the end? Because the people have been following them, and that may be an okay thing, that they're just keeping their distance, and, maybe we loot the people if they die, but they could also have been tracking them along the way. So is it necessarily a good thing that we find people at the very end?
Well, do you remember the scene where were they in the floors that they opened the thing? Right, there were people on the floor. Yeah,
okay,
and he was trying to get his dad to
Yeah.
help get them out, and he was, no, this is not our place to do this.
The boy is such a creature of naivete and sweet innocence, and that house that they find could have been a waypoint for him.
Right.
But when he does find the horrors waiting for them in the basement, the boy can't wrap his head around on why you just can't free these people.
Well, I mean, someone had to be close by.
Yeah,
right?
and they are.
Yeah.
Because when they get back upstairs, they find cannibals are coming in from the woods and they're approaching the house. And that was another scene where I thought, oh man, you don't get out of this alive. Like, how do you, and now your son's with you too.
Yeah.
And they had to leave the house and then hide in the hedgerow until after night.
And they were there for a while.
They were, yeah.
And did the cannibals not come by while they were hiding?
They approach the house, and then they're in the house. And from the hedgerow, the man and the boy don't dare leave yet, but you hear sounds from within the house of what the cannibals are doing. And I think that adds an extra layer to the painfulness and the grotesquerie.
Yeah.
Not only can you do nothing about it, but you have to sit there and listen. I don't know that I would ever know what Cormac McCarthy meant with any of his writing, but there's a touchstone of sometimes atrocities happen in the world around you, and Drew Haston, a person of infinite hope and goodness, wants to do something about it. Sometimes you just can't do anything about it, especially if it means costing you Annie. Like, you want to help people, but not at her expense, right?
It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Crossing, which is another McCarthy, when Billy Parham goes to get his brother's remains. And have you read The Crossing?
No, I've heard you talk about it. Yeah.
So he goes to get his brother. He and his brother split in Mexico, and because his brother falls in love with a girl, and he dies. He ends up dying. He ends up dying like a heroic death, because when he comes back to find him, he's like this folk hero. And he finds his grave, and he's like, I'm going to take him back home. And so he digs his body up, and he like ties him up and puts him into like a little thing behind his horse. And anyways, these bandits still in Mexico come across him, and he's got his brother's bones wrapped up, and they're like trying to rob from him, and they keep saying, what's in this bag? And he's trying to say nothing, and they essentially tie him down, and there's nothing he can do. And they open it, there's his bones, and they just start throwing them and scattering them. Yeah, and so it's like you were saying, that you were talking about McCarthy. I mean, that's McCarthy, just having to sit there, and there's nothing I can do. I just have to sit there and watch this horror go through. Yeah.
Another earlier part for me, you just go back to the middle part with the bunker, right? And I get it. And again, I don't know that McCarthy meant anything here, but it's a useful scene to show tenderness between the father and son that the father could not have afforded elsewhere in the narrative. Getting to give him a sip of Coke. And knowing, and so what, it's Coke. But that kid is never going to know a world where Coke was something that we could just easily have. And that's a tender thing that you hand down from one to the next. I wanted him to stay too.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And in the movie, which you've seen the movie, right?
I have not, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In the movie, I mean, it's really good with it too. It's in warmer tones, warmer light.
Oh, okay.
And the man gets to shave. And so it's like there's a little bit of a transformation there. You get to clean up and be human again.
Yeah.
It's an oasis.
Yeah.
But oases are sometimes deceiving, because he could stay here, but what if somebody finds them? There's no getting out of this one.
Yeah.
And is this eventually where we need to be anyway? Because the world's going to continue getting colder, darker, more fire, and you can't get away from it. They'll have cans of peaches and Coke, but do they have years of life ahead of them there?
No, I thought that though about that. Would that be a better decision to stay and say? Because I feel like honestly they're on the move constantly, but the odds are that eventually we're going to get caught, or eventually we're going to get trapped, or we're going to eventually run out of food, or etc. And I thought that too. Would it be better for them to stay in the bunker and live what little we have left with happiness, us together? I mean, as much as you hate to say it, you've got the 2 bullets if something did happen, or do you want to, like you said, continue your journey?
As people grow, they're going to change and needs are going to be met. And I don't know, you're just going to have drives. Kids eventually want to be separated from their parents. And so what? Let's suppose that they did stay there another 5 years or even 10 years. There's going to be times where they conflict with one another, where they're driven to anger against one another. And the boy's going to want to be separated from the father too. The father already wants him to have an opportunity to be out there. So the bunker is not long-term perfection. It is only a temporary oasis.
Yeah. I wanted them to stay so bad. I just think about reading that right now, and I can remember I was so happy when they were. Do you know what I'm saying?
We wanted them to stay because we want them to have a good ending. And that feels like what a good ending could have provided for them.
Which we talk about consequences a lot, and I don't know. I think that I would have been okay with that one ending right there. We'll talk about it in a second, but I mean, I'm fine with the ending. That's what made it so emotional, the ending, But I would have been happy for them to to have had a good little stay.
Any other major characters that stand out other than man and boy and cannibals?
Well, let me ask you this, because you were talking about his wife and her committing suicide. What do you think happened? Because I've tried to piece together some stuff and I guess read articles about what other people thought, and all that I ever get is it's either a meteor, I think is what a lot of people think, or maybe some type of nuclear bomb that was just utterly devastating, because he describes it as a flash. But I wonder if it was a meteor, because you were talking about how they did know it was coming. It was like, this is going to happen. Because I'm thinking about the meal that they had when she was, do you remember that?
I do remember
that. She was going to go kill herself, and she was trying to talk him into doing that, and he was trying to talk her out of doing that. And so, because they knew what was coming.
I kind of like the ambiguity. And uncertainty of not knowing what the end of the world was. We just know that it's going to cause, like, it's never going to be warm or never going to be good again.
Yeah.
It may be, okay, so maybe this is the lasting nuclear winter. This is the repercussions of those fallouts. Or maybe it is an asteroid that caused a kind of winter that's never going to stop now, not for thousands of years or so. I don't know. For me, it's just the bigger impact of, well, what do we do in the face of almost no possible hope?
No hope, yeah.
Do you hold out hope? A question I had for it was, is it fair to characterize the mother that way? Because, and I don't know, we would have to flip back through more McCarthy. You would be better at referencing this off your head than I am. Does he ever depict women or does he usually depict women in an unfair light? And I don't know. Let me phrase this too. I've had suicide happen in my family. I know people who have committed suicide, and I'm not judging it. I'm saying I don't want anybody to have to make that choice, and it is a painful choice to the people who survive you and miss you very much. I know you're going through bad things, but it's not a great answer. So we don't want you to take that path. The mother chooses it in a way that Brutus and Cassius choose it, in a way that other literary characters have chosen it, when they just no longer have any hope. Is it fair to characterize one of the only women in this play as not, or in this novel, as not strong enough to survive, whereas the father, a male, has what it takes to at least keep that fire going, to pass the torch on.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. When I read it, I never viewed it as her not having the strength to continue. It was just, I kind of viewed it as she just didn't want to.
That's a really selfish take. Right?
I viewed it just based off of the dinner that they had, because that's really the only like dialogue and interaction we get from the two. Because he kind of talks about her just a little bit to the son, but really that flashback is the only brief interaction we get between those two. And I guess that goes into your narrator, because this is from his viewpoint, and he obviously viewed that as very selfish of her.
Yeah.
And he talks about that in that scene of how he felt like, I think if I remember correctly, he kind of talks about how he felt he was being robbed as well.
Yeah.
And so for me, it did paint a picture of her being selfish, as in she just didn't, to her it was the way that I read it, it was more of a what's the point? There's no chance of survival. I guess that they knew that this was going to be utter destruction. There will be no food, things like that. And so what's the point? And I feel like that she chose what she thought would have been the better of the two choices, as opposed to suffering. Do you see what I'm saying? I think she thought that they would just suffer if they chose to live.
Well, I see that, but I mean, then she's also she's making that choice for father and for child, and that's only if we all three do a suicidal end of this story together. The mother chooses to commit suicide and let father and child be. Go ahead. So if you really have no hope, if you feel like you're sparing yourself from suffering, then what are you doing allowing these others to continue suffering?
Yeah.
It's such a selfish thing to say, well, I'm not going to be there for you.
Yeah. I mean, I viewed her as selfish. Yeah. But like I said, is that his perspective of it, though?
Well, do we get any other women characters who present a different voice to it?
I mean, other than the family at the end.
Right.
That's it. But, I mean, do we really interact with that
Not
person?
much, but we do get a mother, a father, and children. And the nature of that family is rather dubious because we don't know. We assume, we hope that they're going to take in this boy and complete the dynamic family, and we'll move on to warmer zones. We hope that's what it's going to be. But we've seen plenty of cannibals in this story too.
Yeah.
And we know that people are going to do whatever it takes to protect theirs.
Yeah.
What if they're cannibals too, and the boy is the next thing that's going to keep their kids alive, right?
Yeah.
Because parents are going to do whatever, animals are going to do whatever it takes to protect their young.
Well, I know I've told you about this theory I've had, but I think that they are cannibals. I think that they were tracking them. And I told you that I had read an article that talked about cannibalism and how that people who they have found who have been severe cannibals, their teeth had rotted out. And that was something that was like one of the few things that McCarthy used to describe these people is they had missing teeth.
Right.
And that's why I think that they were cannibals, because they were, why else would you just follow these? Do you know what I'm saying? Why would you follow these people? And then also you've got a trademark of, or a side effect, I guess, of cannibalism. I hate to say that, but I think that that's what happened.
You're also the same guy who said, I wish they had just stayed in the bunker because I like that ending.
I know.
I think that I want to believe the best of the ending and that the father's sacrifice mattered.
Yeah.
The mother's self-sacrifice seems to be counter to that. And for me, it's McCarthy giving us how some people are going to treat this one way, some people are going to handle it another way.
Yeah.
And there's selfish and there's not selfish, right? And the father's a very selfless character. And hopefully by the end, the kid has found at least a temporary family and we have the possibility for hope. If he had ended it at the bunker, in Drew Hastings' mind, they would have had the possibility for hope. They've got food.
Yeah.
End.
Well,
I hope they get that.
What I don't know if hope is how I would describe it. Just I'm trying to think of what if it were in my situation with my children. I guess I'm thinking there's not much chance of happiness out there, and I don't know what the life expectancy would be, but I can provide happiness or comfort, I guess. Maybe not complete happiness, but I can provide comfort. We're not sleeping in the cold. We're not necessarily running from cannibals. Do you know what I'm saying? We're not having to hide and listen. And so there's comfort for me, but more importantly, there's comfort for them. And if someone, someone may not ever stumble upon that, and we may be able to forage and have a home base. Somebody might stumble upon us, and that might be it. I guess that's what I'm thinking. I guess I would have stayed now that we're talking about it. Do you know it? I think that I probably would have stayed because I would have said this is a comfort. This is a place to hunker down. And I don't know.
It makes me think of what you were talking about with Project Hail Mary, and knowing that Rocky was headed this way with his astrophage and you're headed this way, only to think, oh no, he's probably going to die now. You had said, I would just keep going. I wouldn't have turned around.
And now I'm saying, stay put.
Stay put. It is the safer course of action.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Me saying go back is more conservative than
saying go back where?
To get Rocky.
Oh, to go back to get Rocky is far more of a risk.
Or to go home, I meant.
Right.
Yeah.
To go home is the safe bet because it gets you back to Annie.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the safe bet. And to stay in the bunker, I think I certainly would have stayed there longer, or I would have wanted to.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering it, but it also feels like the father's concerned that with this onset of cold and ash, that there's going to be winter circumstances that complicate travel. And if we don't leave now, cannibals are like the statistical chance of them finding us only increases.
Yeah.
Winter's going to complicate things. We can't get soft by setting here now.
Yeah, well, he is all about preparing his son. Would you agree?
Yes.
That's his number one goal. So I guess where I'm looking at it as I want my child to be comfortable and happy. He was looking at it as I want my child to be prepared.
But also the boy is so sweet and naive and innocent. And in order to prepare him, you're going to have to break him into some brutal realities. And that hurts too.
Yeah. What about the scene where he meets that man and he makes him strip down?
Yeah, because the man had robbed from them.
Yeah.
They happened to leave their stuff for a little bit, and when they come back, their belongings, their few meager belongings, have been ransacked, and they have to chase him down, and the guy can't get away.
Yeah.
That's a pretty vivid scene in the movie version of the book too.
I've actually watched that clip.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That is tough, especially to do in front of the boy, but it's another one of those circumstances where when it's down to the line, a parent or a creature is going to do whatever to protect its young, and getting those few meager belongings back are all we have to protect that young. Yeah. But to do that in front of the kid shows the father having to be the brutal one now. And that being brutal, even for, it's like Hamlet says, having to do something cruel in order to be kind, having to be so brutal. The kid's not willing to do that.
Yeah.
Why can't we share?
Yeah.
If we're going to just survive, me and you, if certainly the boy is going to survive, you're the one that needs this. And we can't afford to be nice. He's willing to sacrifice himself. He's willing to have hope that the boy will get to a warmer world, but you can't afford to be nice in that scenario.
I do think, though, I remember when I was reading that, I thought that the dad was a little extreme, to be honest with you. Because I thought when he got his stuff back, I was like, okay, you're even. But then he makes him take his coat and everything and essentially leaves him for dead, you know? And I just thought that was just a little rough. But I don't know, like, talking to you about it now, I don't know if he's training his kid for this brutal world or if he was just that angry.
I also thought it could have been a flaw in the dad that he at this moment, because that's toward the end, right?
I think
so.
This is
later on. The dad is wearing out.
Yeah.
And you and I both know that we have been exhausted on some days, and your meter of being a good parent is really low. And all it takes is one thing to lose that patience, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So the dad is running out.
Yeah.
And it is not just protecting his kid, it's an act of vengeance.
Well, what was your question? Because I was going to ask something. But
there are some quotes in the book
Okay.
that always stand out to me. And there's one that I think we celebrate a lot. We certainly bring it up a lot, but I want to know what your take on this is.
Okay.
The man is thinking about the boy. And in the exposition, it says, he knew only that this child was his warrant. He said, if he is not the word of God, God never spoke. Like, what do you think about a line like that? Or what do you think about a treatment of that?
Okay, that's kind of what I was about to kind of lead into is I felt like that this was hugely religious towards Christianity specifically, because he talks a lot about the good and the evil carrying the torch, right?
Right.
And I really took that as passing on your faith to your children. You know, I've not researched McCarthy and his religious choice or anything like that, but I don't know. Did you feel like that? To me, it was just like plain as day. Like this is because what did he kept calling it the fire? Yeah. And I mean, I've heard in my span of faith people call it that.
Sure.
You know, and so we think of our children as miracles, right, and gifts from God. So do you think that that's what he's alluding to?
I like that take.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do kind of wish that we had, maybe we can get a Ouija board out and ask Cormac McCarthy this, the spirit of Cormac McCarthy, so we could know our literary answers. It'll be our Zoom call with Cormac McCarthy.
I'll get Emily to test that one too.
Try it. But like, what is his take on religion in this?
Not to me, it was blatant.
Okay,
Yeah.
so whatever his personal religious attitudes are, what is he invoking in this book? Because there was another quote that went along with it too.
Do you think with that quote specifically, do you think that it's religious and McCarthy's using religion? And because what does he say? He says something in the story where it's pretty obvious that the dad is a believer. He says something like, we are the something. I can't remember exactly. But he's describing, like, the way he describes it, the way that I read it was, well, we believe this and they believe that. And so because of this, we act differently. Because he's kind of trying to explain the differences between them and the cannibals.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, okay, so let's think about this. Our world has been destroyed. I mean, I know that we think it's bad now, but like our world has been, our world has been destroyed to the point where there's no food.
Right.
You know, and how easy would it be to think about? Well, where is God?
Yeah.
Where is God? You know, and you look at this miracle and you say, you're talking about his warrant, and what did he say? If this is not the word of God, then
God never spoke.
And so, right. So you're clinging on to this. This is my gift. This is my charge that God has given me to train up, which is what he's doing, you know? And maybe that's like his last hope to that faith is his child. That's the only evidence in all of the world, as of right now. I have no evidence of what I believe except for this one thing that I have been charged with, my warrant, as he said it. So that's kind of how I would take that.
And in a Judeo-Christian sense, God is considered to have created the world by starting out with saying, "Let there be light." I know that we often treat it, the Word of God, meaning the Bible.
Right.
But the Word of God is more than just a single book. And I like Cormac McCarthy presenting it as Drew Hastings, an aspect of creation.
Yeah.
I'm an aspect of creation. Trees are an aspect of creation. So we're the inheritors of that creation, that living Word of God.
It also reminds me of the first of John, where it's like in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was and the Word is Jesus.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So to me, you could almost say Jesus. This is
Father, Son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's also a part where the man, then he just knelt in the ashes. He raised his face to the paling day. "Are you there?" he whispered. "Will I see you at the last? Have you a neck by which to throttle you? Have you a heart? Damn you eternally, have you a soul? Oh God," he whispered. "Oh God."
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think he's at the... Do you know what that kind of reminds me of? I mean, I know I'm sticking biblically here.
Yeah.
But it kind of reminds me of David whenever Bathsheba is having her child. And basically God said, you know, you and I are good, but your consequence for this sin is I'm going to take this child. And he is before God and praying and praying and praying and praying. It kind of reminds me of that. Because when they come and tell him that the child's dead, he kind of knows it. And then he puts the ash on his face. Because that was the Jewish custom of mourning mourning or distraught. They would tear their sackcloth and they would put ash upon their head.
Right, yeah.
So that's kind of what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
And he's clearly talking to God. Don't you think?
Clearly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Don't you also think it's pretty common that at some point, whether you believe in God the way that I do or not, that at some point, as a parent or as just a human being, you become so frustrated and so in despair about something that maybe you're not cursing God, but you're really just questioning, why do I have to have this? Because even Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane before and prayed, "Take this cup away from my lips," knowing we're not taking this cup away from your lips. You have to have this. So you have that moment of questioning, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you going to do anything about this? And it's not about saving him, it's about saving that kid.
Yeah. Which again was what David was most concerned with, was saving this child that he knew he was going to lose, you know. But I know we're kind of getting off on a religious thing. I guess I'm okay with it,
but sometimes you talk about different lenses, and this is a lens for reading the book.
Yeah. Mary Beth's been reading the Daily Bible with our church, and she told me that she went back and read when Noah barters with God for Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, it started out, if there are 100 people, then you can save it. And Noah was like, I'm sorry, Abraham. My bad. Abraham was like, no. Like, what about 90? And he ends up bartering with God to 10 people. If there are 10 godly people in this town, then I won't destroy it. And then she read with Moses how Moses had talked to God about certain things and talked him out of things. And David is kind of doing the same thing. Like, he knows God's decision, but he's still trying to talk him into saving this child, you know. And so, I don't know. I don't know if that scene is similar to that, if he's trying to talk to God, but I think he's seeking God, you know, how can we get out of this situation? Where are you to get us out of here, you know? Yeah.
There was another quote about God. The line is, "There is no God, and we are his prophets." Which is a line of irony to say that there is no God,
but
and yet we are his prophets. For me, it piggybacks on that idea that whether you look at this through a Judeo-Christian lens or not, the universe doesn't always owe you answers.
True.
The universe may be incapable of giving you answers.
Sometimes bad things happen.
Unworthy of giving you answers. Sometimes this just happens. In Julius Caesar, Cassius says, "The fault's not in our stars, but in ourselves." We sometimes cause things to happen. And the universe doesn't always, it's not God punishing you for whatever by taking your favorite uncle away. It's not, God punishing you, whatever. Sometimes bad things just happen.
Sometimes they just happen, yeah.
And we can question why, but the universe doesn't always give us answers. And maybe we have to learn how to be inheritors of that. Our novel doesn't give us clean-cut answers at the end either. So maybe in a weird authorial way, Cormac McCarthy is the God of this novel, and we can scream at him, and he's not going to give us any answers about it.
Especially now.
Especially now. In this authorial sense, Cormac McCarthy, God, is dead. And we're just going to have to be his prophets to make podcasts about it. And
true, though. I mean, that's true. Yeah.
The word.
Yeah.
But yeah, he doesn't give us any promise that there's going to be happiness at the end of this book either.
Yeah.
And God doesn't promise you happiness in this world.
No.
So it's a tough thing to have to inherit, and the man can only end his story by hoping that there's going to be, that this sacrifice was worth it.
Yeah. That's the part that really, I guess, tore me up, was when the dad is dying and he's dead. And the son is like, I'm going to take everything you taught me, and I'm going to do what you told. You know what I'm saying? So he's telling him he's going to take all those things. And he was so concerned about his dad being like, almost like properly buried, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just so... It was the passing of the torch. It was all that this dad had led up to had come to this point, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that this is obvious to both of us, but that's what I took from this book was, I'm going to do all I can to prepare my kids for this next step.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they're going to leave the house. And like you said, I want them to, you know. I talked to Sierra yesterday. We were talking about them going to college, you know, and then we got to talking about my kids, and I told her I want her to go to college. I want them to go do things. I want mine to go and leave. And yeah, it would be cool if they stay close, but if they're happy, if they're achieving what their dream is, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's what if they're living a fulfilled life, then that's what I want.
Right.
And I think that that's what the dad wanted, was like, if you can live in this world, I guess a life of survival, a life of, I guess that would be a life of accomplishment, right? Surviving.
At least getting to where you could survive.
Yeah. I think, to me, we can do we try so hard to prepare our children, but at some point we have to trust that we did do our best. Did we get it all right? I mean, no. You know, I think the dad would say that too. I didn't do everything that I should have, or I would have done these things differently, like stay at the bunker. No, I'm just kidding. But
I would have wanted to stay at that bunker longer too.
Yeah, they said what, like 3 days or something?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's another biblical number, 3 days.
Yeah.
And then they rose again out of the hole. How about that? Man.
Up from the bunker they arose.
I want to pass the baskets here in just a second. No, but anyways, I mean, when you've got a son who's left home, you know, you've got a son who's left home, and so you understand that better than I do, right? I mean, he's soon to be off on his own for sure, right? And now you've got a daughter who's a junior, and I'm really depressing you. I'm sorry. But I mean, you've done all you can to get them there, but we have to let go as parents eventually. We don't. I think for us to have healthy children, we don't want them to stay right next to us. Right. You know, I mean, I want them to stay in touch and to be dad's buds and all that. But
well, then they can't stay in the bunker with the peaches and the Coca-Cola.
I know, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. I think that was Andy was definitely harder for April, I think, to let go, but I felt it, and it felt weird with him not being at home.
Yeah.
And I know that there were times I told April I just don't like it. Like, I know I have to get used to it, but I just don't like it. He lives in Cookeville. He lives, just on the other side of town, but we don't see him all too often. Sometimes talk to him, and now that he's absolutely in love with this girl, I see even less of him, right? But you're proud knowing he's self-sufficient, knowing that he's working at being the best person he can be. And he's in this mode right now of trying to get an engineering internship. And as frustrating as these interviews are for him, the most recent one that's a possibility is outside D.C., and they told him it's 10 days on, 4 days off, and he's like, I just won't be around any of my family. Well, yeah.
It's life.
And that's life.
Yeah.
And I hate that for you, but it's a temporary thing, and you've been well equipped to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I know I'm going to wear it more personally when Jane goes, because I've been with her daily for 4 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not just been, she lives at home. Atticus, meh.
Oh, God.
I'm kidding. He's going to crack up.
He's going to listen to this one day, too.
Yeah. He's going to crack up to hear that. He's going to be shaking his head at me. No, Andy, he was my first, and he was the kid that I had when I was reading this book. So I've always thought about him through the lens of, wanting the man and the boy, wanting him to be prepared. What about you with your kids? Because they're really young right now, but you've got how many more years with Annie? What's she right now?
Look at this. I can show you. She's in first grade.
Right.
We've got this thing that they do I don't know. And I do it to Mary Beth sometimes because she gets so upset. It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, look at this. So I've got 562 weeks until she turns 18.
Oh.
And that circle is slowly. And then you look at Hollis is 682. And then there's Hazel. So, and I've got to update his photo because he doesn't look like that anymore.
Right.
But I don't know. I do think that this book clearly has stuck with me because it's like we were talking. It's been 5 years since I've read this book, and I can still remember these events vividly, as opposed to other books which we've talked about that I've read recently and remember parts of it clearly, but not all of it, But this has really stuck with me, and I do think that it changed the way that I parented. I think that it's subconsciously led to something like this, a continuing on of, I guess like a Hamlet, like we've talked about, kind of like here's some memories of this. I don't know.
The more that we talk about this, the more I think this would be a great pairing with Hamlet in either an honors or an AP class. And it's a heavy, dark book to talk about. Even just having conversations like this, we're talking about having to let our kids go. We're talking about suicidal issues and stuff. Something that just hit my mind is, I don't know how you would answer this, but you have a relationship with your kids. I have one with mine. This is a book I handed down to my son. For my circumstances, it didn't work backward. I don't know that I talk to my dad all that often, which he lives next county over, and I just don't see him all that often. But one day, I'm going to have to bury him, and my mom, and that day is getting closer. That generation's getting closer and closer. One day, my kids are going to have to bury me, and I won't be around to be bothered by it, I guess, anything by it. But I don't know that I have that conversation. I don't know that I have that link to my father, who prepared me. I'm a self-sufficient person. He succeeded, but I feel like I'm so much closer to my own kids, and I kind of wish my dad would read this book. And then, I don't know, just see what his take on any of it is. I don't know if my dad listens to this. So if he does, I think my dad was the best dad. So I don't mean this in a way, but I don't remember really too many deep conversations my dad and I have had, And I guess that's okay. I've always been a little bit different than my family. I've been interested in different things than my family, and I've kind of always done things differently than them. And I think that I've been pretty independent. I mean, we live next door to them. You were talking about you live next county. Well, I can walk to see my dad right now. Literally. And I know when I get older and when he is gone, I'm going to look back and feel like that I wasted that opportunity, But I do feel like I think about these things with my kids. I don't know. I think, especially with my son,
you know. And I don't mean to sound like I have a favorite. And kids, if you're listening in the future, it's not the case. I think that it's just, I think I've talked to you about this. Things just were happening when we had Hollis, and I had to be there for him a lot more than I did for the others. And he was about a year old before, I guess, these things started healing. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And he and I at that point were already just bonded, so close. And then there was a time, which I'm sure you can relate to with boys, where they're so rowdy, you know, that 1 to 3 age, and nobody wanted to keep Hollis. It was always, well, we'll take Annie, but we won't, you know. And so Hollis would ride with me everywhere and be with me. And now I tell Maeve this all the time. I feel like he came out of my body. He's so, and I'm appreciative of that. So I think that we just have a different bond right now.
Yeah.
And I just think about the conversations to come in the days ahead, and I hope that I'll be able to have those.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm saying? So,
I don't have a favorite child either. I do not have a favorite child.
No favorite. No, we have no favorite children.
I don't. My kids would say it's the cat. That's they would say it's the cat. There's this great episode of The Crown.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about that when we were talking about this.
And where Prince Philip tells her that we definitely have favorite children. And the Queen is so incensed. She's, no, we don't. And he's like, of course. Mine's Anne. And so she has to spend the time figuring out. And we brought that up at dinner one night, and the kids were laughing, and April got offended and was like, I don't have a favorite child. And we were like, of course you do. It's Andy. And she was, well, do you? And they were like, of course, it's Jane. Well, what about Atticus? I don't know.
Nobody likes him.
It's true. We don't have a favorite child. But just like you had unique circumstances to more closely bond with Hollis early on, I've been with Jane, you know, by the end of her high school career for 4 years.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah.
Hours daily. I had her in class. So
drives to and from.
Driving to and from.
You're sitting here after school.
Literally waiting for her,
tonight.
right?
Yeah.
So it is a completely different experience that I didn't get to have with Andy.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get to have with Atticus. But that don't mean that I don't love Andy.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And yet, who does Andy probably more instantly call to ask questions? April. And not because he loves her more than he loves me. He's on campus, so he stops by mom's office, and he calls her with questions about whatever. He just does.
Yeah.
But he'll call me too. Jane, I wonder how that's going to be after she graduates high school. I wonder if she'll call mom before she calls me.
I don't know.
Because then you also find this unique thing where the kids call each other.
Oh, yeah.
And they won't call the parents. Like, you're going to experience that. Hollis is going to be calling Annie to talk about things that he won't call you or Mary Beth about.
Yeah.
And then you find out, and it's weird to think, y'all have been talking about that. That's weird.
Yeah.
It's healthy, but...
Yeah.
Because you and Raji call each other and talk about things, right?
Yeah.
That you don't call and talk to your parents about.
No.
My brother and I, when we were growing up, my mom would have to work during the day. So in the summertime, she would always leave these yellow legal pad pages on the table with a list of chores for the day.
Okay.
And it was like she was writing us a letter while she had her coffee in the morning. And it would always start off with, "Good morning, boys. Today, I will need you to do the following." And it was a long list of back-breaking labor. And James and I got to where we dreaded seeing that yellow sheet of paper. I had a bad day the other day. I was not feeling great as a parent. I had yelled and lost my temper and went to bed feeling like a bad dad. And I texted my brother about it and just vented about this and that. And James wrote me back, "Well, maybe you should have tried leaving her a yellow legal pad with things." And I thought, great. Thanks for the sympathy.
Thank you. No, I don't know. I just think that, I don't know. I try not to think about my kids leaving just yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And,
well, you also have miles before that happens.
Well, I've told Mary Beth, we've gotten so close with Sierra and Lily, we're kind of getting a bit of a taste of it right now, you know, and
this will be your practice run.
I know, that's what I've been telling her, and I said, I'm already kind of like, oh, so for, I guess, my own flesh and blood to come through, that's going to be tough, but.
I always, the kids that I was close to would tell them, like on their last day of school, that's the last time you're going to step out of room 105. And so it's like that last step out of the room. It was like a big step for me, whether it was for them or not. Yeah. But certainly you'll be here probably while Annie grows up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I'm here.
Like, they're going to be growing up. They'll be in the hallways. Maybe even have you as their teacher.
I don't know. I don't want them to have me as a teacher.
You don't think so?
I need them to get a proper education.
Listen. It was a unique experience getting to have the kid in the room, and anybody who would ever even suggest that you're not, impartial, that you favor the kid, they're wrong.
Yeah.
You are so much harder on your own kid in the classroom than you are on anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe that's not fair to your kid, but they're still going to get a great education from their dad in the room. But they would also get a great perspective having somebody else in the room too, right? Mm-hmm. But they'll get that at each grade level too.
That's true.
It is a unique thing getting to have your kid here with you during the day. It's good.
I'll give him a spanking. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. There's one other quote I wanted to talk about real quick. You had brought up dystopia and Kyle's take on it as a social commentary at the beginning. Mm. One of the quotes is where he says, "On this road, there are no God-spoke men. They are gone, and I am left, and they have taken with them the world." It doesn't necessarily have to be a social commentary, but when I go back over that quote, I can't help but think about how it resonates with me and society in the last 10 years or whatever, certainly how I feel about things this year. But I feel like maybe every generation also has that take where it's like, everything's just going to heck in a handbasket, man. That there are no good people left to find. What's Flannery O'Connor's story? A good man is hard to find, right? And that's another one about how maybe there are no such thing as good people in the world. There are no God-spoke men left. They've all taken the world and left with them, and we have what's left. Yeah. And it's tough to look around and see the supposed best people in society, the ones that we're supposed to look up to, probably be so uber corrupt. And every day there's a new corruption. Every day there's a new fallout. And how do you carry on? How do you keep that torch alive for the next 4 years? Yeah. How do you keep it alive for the next 16 years? And at least engender that hope, that spirit, that drive for change in your children when you feel that there is no hope left, that it's just getting grayer and colder and winter is coming, the Starks say.
Well, I've tried to tell Mary Beth that when she kind of gets down on things too, is, I think everybody thinks the age that they're in is the worst age that has come, and do you know what's going to happen in 20, 25 years? People are going to look back and say, man, those were the good days. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, God, what if they are? Oh, no. We've hit the time safari, time machine, and a sound of thunder.
There it is.
Someone stepped on the butterfly. No, I think I agree with what you're saying. It's easy for us to sit here and say that there's no good left, but there is good left. There is good left,
Just like McCarthy's novel. But his novel is such a gritty take on it, too, that it doesn't promise you a happy ending. Mm-hmm. And even for there to be the possibility of that hope and that torch, it requires self-sacrifice of one generation for the next. Yeah. And which I'm totally willing to do. But it is a story about hope amid dystopia. Mm. It reminds me of another book that I harp about a lot. I can't stop talking about this book. I read it during the pandemic, and I just think about it so often. It's written by Ben Winters, and it's called The Last Policeman.
Oh, yeah, I remember you talking about that, yeah.
And it's a book that I feel like is a kind of story that has shown up with me throughout the years, where there's an asteroid headed to Earth. And so you've got this impending apocalyptic scenario. It's a planet killer. And your main character is a policeman who's investigating what seems to be a suicide, but he knows is a murder. Mm-hmm. And he wants to investigate this, but his police department says, who cares? And the world around him is falling apart. There are more suicides every day. Everybody's still trundling to work or McDonald's or whatever, but hope is fleeting. And why are you prosecuting a murderer? What are you going to do? Put him in prison when in 9 months there won't be any planet left? The Road reminds me of that, in that you've got this person who is still holding out hope that what we do here matters. Even if the planet only has 9 months left. It wigged Atticus out the other day when he heard me talking about this asteroid called Apophis. Have you heard of this?
Is it the one that's like getting close to Earth? Or
Yeah. In 2029, on Friday the 13th.
Oh, no.
April 2029. It's going to do a flyby. It'll be between us and the moon. So
that's close.
That's close.
Yeah.
It'll be closer than satellites that orbit Earth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know it was going to be that close.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Apophis is an Egyptian god of the dead.
Oh, perfect. Who named that? Right. Who named that? Why didn't you name it something else?
Mega Million Dollar God.
Why did they name it that? What are you doing? Gosh.
Here's the asteroid Lollipop 17.
Yeah. There's some guy somewhere laughing about that. This asteroid's coming close to Earth, and I named it after the god of the dead.
So Apophis has been on my radar, and then there was another one that they were talking about for 2030.
Yeah, I saw
or
that one
2030.
too. I think it's 2035. Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But what was so remarkable for that was that it had a 2.1% chance of hitting Earth, and then NASA moved it up to 2.4.
Oh, good.
And then they moved it up to 3.1,
oh, no.
which is the highest rated percent NASA's ever labeled a near-Earth object. Atticus heard me talking about it the other day, and I didn't find out about it till later, but he went back to his room and got on his phone to look it up.
Oh, no.
Because he was really bothered by this impending thing.
Yeah.
And here is a father who accidentally terrified his kid, right? So there's always the possibility for some near-Earth object that we don't know about. And how do you continue on knowing that anything could happen? The good news is that one, NASA has taken away that rating. They said, oh, it's fine. It's not going to hit us.
Our bad.
But I also told Atticus.
There's still Apophis.
Right. I told Atticus last night, isn't that what they would say in the movie when they don't want people to freak out because they know there's no getting away from it?
You named the meteor Apophis. It was you. Was this one's name Satan?
Apophis is still supposed to be a flyby. I don't think they expect it to hit. The other one, they were thinking, okay, this could hit. But what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like the movie Armageddon? Send a bunch of miners out there and drill it and blow it up?
That. What would we do?
I saw a podcast about this the other day. There are scenarios, but none of them would be good. Oh. None of them would work. The one where you attach a rocket to it and try to nudge it, by the point that it's close enough, you don't have enough room to actually nudge it. And to blow it up, blows it up into shards that are now going to scatter around planet Earth and hit everywhere instead of just one central spot. So none of the options are really great in such a scenario. What are you supposed to do?
Well, I guess that's why all these tech billionaires have been building their own rockets. They're going to leave Earth.
I kind of wish they would.
Well, I think they're on their way.
Good. And then Apophis misses us and hits them, and we get to repopulate the world. But I mean, you do laugh, and I don't think we're laughing through the cemetery right now. I think it's just you carry on.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes into what the story's about. He talks about we have the light, we have the fire. That's what's good, right? Yeah. And we do what's good because that's what we believe. We believe in what's good, and that's why we continue. And it's easy to do what's bad when bad times are here. That's easy. That's the easy way. Everybody's doing that. That's
Right.
the easy way out. So we do what's good because that's what we believe, and we hope ultimately that pays off in the end.
Right.
And if it doesn't, then I guess we can be proud of when we look back, whether we're on the brink of death or maybe we're at the end of the race. We can look back and say that we are happy with the actions that we took.
Yeah.
So.
You, as a dad going through your circumstances when Hollis was little, didn't quit being a good dad just because we're going through things.
Yeah.
You double down and you become a good dad. You're a great dad. And you do the same thing as a teacher. And you give yourself a lot of crap about not being a great teacher. But I'm pretty sure I could look in here, Joe Odom, I could look in here and I could see the impact you make in a lot of kids' lives who are better for their time with you, right?
I hope so.
They can kill the Department of Education. Well, we hope. They can kill the Department of Education. They can take Tennessee funding away for school vouchers. But I'm still going to show up next year and be the best teacher I can be. And hopefully change some of these sophomores to be better voters in the future. Hopefully.
Yeah. I know that we've dwindled down to a good ending point, and this might reverse everything.
Oh, okay.
But I was just thinking about him choosing to leave, because the way that I remember it, he basically was kind of thinking, well, we used to vacation in Florida. It was warm in Florida, so let's go to Florida, right? And essentially left, the way that I read it, like the East Tennessee area.
Yeah. So he does travel through Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think my students and I even tried, you don't get a great map, but trying to pinpoint where's his trip taking him. He does come through Tennessee.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of cool, because this is one of McCarthy's last books, right? And I know that his early books there were always references to Tennessee, East Tennessee. And then when he moved to New Mexico, he kind of got away from that. But then here towards the end, he's gone back to that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
What do you think about that decision? Do you think the dad knew what he would find when he got there? Or do you think that he was just like, we just got to be on the move, and if I can say, hey, this is our goal, whether I believe it or not, it can keep us moving? Or do you think that he really thought that was what they would find?
Well, what alternative do you have?
I know, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
To stay is a death sentence. And to move, there might be something there.
Yeah.
I hate that when he does get to the beach, that the ocean is like this gray, cold sludge that's just an icy rolling tide all the time. So hopefully even further south, there's something. I don't know that anybody has great hope for things to certainly not be as great as they were before. At least in this human lifetime of the book, I don't know that planet Earth has the chance to be the paradise that it was before. But it certainly can't be any worse than what was up north. So maybe it's just...
This is just your personal opinion.
Boy, it always comes back to me in Ohio, don't it? It certainly can't be any worse than it is up north. But maybe if we can get further south.
What few listeners we've had come in from the north, they're going to really hate us.
Man.
It's a good thing we have no social media.
The Californians probably have heard my comments before. The Ohioans have heard my comments. I've offended people. I should not be on this episode anymore.
No, that's not true.
I keep offending everybody.
It's okay.
But yeah, I mean, what other hope does he have but to keep going south? I think you would probably, if you were in the man's position, have not had different thoughts, because you guys are so enamored with St. Augustine, the thinking of, well, we could at least try to get there.
Yeah.
I think you and Mary Beth have even said that you had thought, wouldn't it be ideal to move there? So to get your son or daughter somewhere warmer, you would have thought St. Augustine.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the logic behind it. I just wonder if the thought crossed his mind of, this whole place is like this, it was all the same.
Yeah.
This whole place is destroyed. I just wonder if it was like a goal, I mean, how easy, my kids wouldn't know the difference now if this were in our situation, and I said, hey, I think it'll be warmer at the beach. Let's go to the beach. Even though I knew that it probably wouldn't, I guess in a way it gives you that goal to work towards, like you said, to keep us on the move. We've got to keep on the move. So
yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Maybe I've just been really naive my entire life about this, but just talking to you about it makes me think, maybe he didn't even think that, but that hope may be a lie. Mm-hmm. But even a lie that has the chance to possibly be true, or that we can keep telling ourselves, no, it'll be better. Mm-hmm. It'll be better somewhere south. Even if we are self-deluding and lying to ourselves, that is the only chance we've got to continue living.
Yeah.
And that life is important for me because it's important to keep the kid alive.
It's kind of like the mom's decision in a sense, what better is there here? Mm-hmm. So I've got to make that ultimate decision. Hers was taking her life, and his was moving on south just to see what's there. Because what else are you going to do? What else are you going to... There are no jobs. There's no food.
Yeah.
There's no purpose to stay where you're at. Yeah. You have to move, or you're going to be eaten. So...
This is the real feel-good episode that we're going to have to end with like dirty jokes or something like that.
We'll read Deegan's poem.
Because I can just see...
Speaking of eating.
Right.
Has anybody ever eaten monkey?
Boy, I hope somebody at Jesuit hears this and tells him, you just got referenced in a podcast.
Me too.
That would be great.
Here's my L1, L2s on that.
I can just see him driving in his car listening to it. Heck, I can see anybody listening to this in their car and being like, oh, man, this is just a heavy one. But the book is.
Yeah, but I do think it's a good thing. Like, it's a good story in that, like we were talking about, we want to prepare our kids the best we can, and we want to send them out. We've got to let go at some point, and I think that that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing. I don't. If my kids chose to stay here and go to tech, great. I know that that's something I've told Mary Beth. At 20, they're out. It's time to move on.
Right.
I don't want them to stay tethered. I want them to live a full life.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a good thing. So I think, it's heavy and the story is depressing, but also there's hope. Like, that's what it ultimately comes down to. There's hope, and that's what we do everything for. So I think it is a good thing.
Yeah. It kind of makes me want to look back through all of McCarthy's work now and catalog, again, his representation of different kinds of characters and think, okay, I think that this is a pretty heroic, noble depiction of fathers. How does he represent fathers in other works?
Well, okay.
In All the Pretty Horses,
that's what
the father dies.
Yeah. But he was defending his family.
Right.
Yeah.
And the mother figure cheats John Grady Gull out of his inheritance, right?
Yeah.
Which causes him to have to leave and go south to Mexico on his finding your fortune kind of thing.
Yeah.
So once again, father figure, good. Mother figure, weak or bad.
I'm trying to think in The Crossing, because there were issues with Billy Parham and his family. They're setting, there's this wolf, and she's eating all the cattle. And so the dad goes and sets a trap, and Billy goes, and it's trapped. And his dad told him, if you check the trap and it's alive, bring it back to me and I'm going to kill it. And Billy kind of becomes, I don't want to say in love with the wolf, but he's like taken aback by it. Kind of like, this is this beautiful creature. I guess all that represents, and they are in New Mexico, so close to the border. So he's just like, I'm just going to take this on to Mexico and let it go. And so there was that deception of his parents that he did. And when he came back, his parents had been killed by, this is not what happened in All the Pretty Horses, right?
No.
Okay. So he goes out on the farm, and there's like this, it's like a native, and he is kind of camped out and they end up helping him. His brother helps him, and Billy's kind of wanting him to move on, but they end up helping him and leaving him, letting him be. And then when Billy ends up taking the wolf, that native ends up being the one who kills his family. So
okay,
it was a native or a Mexican. He was kind of that I guess the ethnicity of that area. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there was like this deception of my parents, which ultimately led to their death.
Blood Meridian I've not read yet.
I've read Blood Meridian, but I didn't enjoy it, and it's been so long since I've read it, I can't really remember too much of it. Yeah. But, in that one, the main character's called the Kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In the movie version of The Road, Robert Duvall plays the old man at the very end that he encounters before they get to the seashore. So they've already encountered the guy who stole from them, and they've left him for dead. He encounters this old man, and now he shows grace by, sharing a fire and a meal with him. And the old man talks to him for a bit and kind of goes off on a tangent, but it's almost like you've got this moment of wisdom or something being shared. And then in All the Pretty Horses, when John Grady Cole is coming back north, he stays the night at the judge's house, right? And he has no father figure, he has no mother figure, but for that one night, the judge gives him like safety and respite and like a fatherly kind of talk. I wonder if there are similar kinds of archetypal characters throughout Cormac McCarthy's work.
Cities on the Plain, Billy and John Grady have ended up at the same ranch, and John Grady and the ranch owner have kind of formed this father-son type relationship. And Billy's kind of, because Billy's little brother dies in Mexico, and Billy's kind of reluctantly taken John Grady. You can tell that Billy sees that I see John Grady as my brother type, like almost like a stand-in, but you can also see that he's trying to keep that distance because he doesn't want to get hurt again. That's what I was telling you in a previous episode. At the end, whenever John Grady's going to go back to get, I guess, his love, and Billy's like, "You're going to get killed, you cannot go," he springs into action to try to go save him because he doesn't want to lose another brother, you know. So John Grady has that father figure again in Cities on the Plain. He goes to seek wisdom from, what should I do? I think I'm in love. He's okay. I think I'm in love. He doesn't really like give him the full story about who he's fallen in love with in that one, but he's definitely going to him like a, what should I do for this? I think I'm in love. Can you give me some money? Can you give me my pay in advance? Stuff like that.
Okay. So, in All the Pretty Horses, you do get a redeemable female figure with John Grady Cole's Senorita.
Yeah.
That he falls in love with.
But she also betrays him, Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there are any noble women characters that Cormac McCarthy presents us.
I'd like for us to read The Orchard Keeper together.
Okay.
It's been a while since I think I read The Road, and then I finally felt like I had figured out how to read McCarthy, and so I purchased that one soon after that. I know that there are female characters in that one. I can't think of them off the top of my head, so that's why I think it'd be good for us to go back and review together. But I know that there are some strong male characters in that too, sort of similar to like Billy Parham, because Billy was just this rough guy, and he was kind of like I don't want to be a mentor, but like secretly I do want to be a mentor, So there was kind of like a figure type of that in that book too. But
I think part of it for me is that I really do feel like representation matters. And if you're looking at works of one of your favorite writers, and he gives a voice for some but denies a voice to others, or only presents characters from one light, whether the representation matters to you or not, it's hard for me to defend one of my favorite writers if I don't have better examples to point to, which we talked about this with Sherman Alexie. Can you separate the writer from their biases? And I don't know what Cormac McCarthy's attitudes were about anything.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that goes into that question that we talked about. If we get the chance to talk to Charles Frazier, that I would like to ask him is, in all of his novels, there's that unobtainable or distant love. In Cold Mountain, he's trying to get back to Ada. He gets there, but does he really obtain that? I would say no. In 13 Moons, he falls in love with a character, and they have this fling sort of thing, but she's married to someone else, and then they end up leaving. And he thought that she was the guy's daughter the whole time, and she never told him otherwise until later on towards the story. And so but they end up coming back together as old people, and there's just that moment of what could have been. They talk about what could have been. In the Nightwoods, he has a character who's come back home, and you've kind of got like the female character in that. She's the protagonist. She's like the caretaker of this estate, and the dad dies, or grandpa, and speaking of St. Augustine, the son comes back from St. Augustine to North Carolina, and he falls in love with this girl, but she's kind of like a keep my distance from people type of person because she got sexually assaulted. So it's like that unobtainable type thing. Verena, she's separated from Jefferson Davis, and she's actually in love with his chief of staff, and they're traveling together, but it's antebellum South, so we can't really do this thing that we want to do. We're on the run together. He sent you with me, he didn't come with me, you came with me. But and everybody sees it, but we can't go that extra step. Do you know what I'm saying? And then in the Trackers, it's the same thing. He goes to stay with this guy. He falls in love with his wife, and she ends up leaving. And he's kind of like, she does this every now and then, so I need you to go find him. And he's like tracking her, but as he's tracking her, he's falling more in love with her, and it's just unobtainable, So I don't know. I went on a tangent there, but it's just interesting how these like commonalities come up. Like we were talking about McCarthy. I mean, I almost said maybe he had mom issues, but maybe he had dad issues. Maybe he didn't have that mentor figure that he really desired,
Yeah, I really want to read Verena too, and I have a Verena story, but I want to save it if we ever talk about Verena. Okay. You don't think, which I should have brought this up during the Cold Mountain episode, you don't think that Inman ever attains that connection with Ada? Because they do.
Yeah, I know that they meet with each other, but it wasn't that everlasting that he was hoping for.
Yeah.
I mean, he went AWOL to go back and find her.
Right.
And went on this long journey, went through hell to find her for what, a couple days? A week or two? Not a long time at all.
Oh, I thought it was like a night or a day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like an extremely short time when you compare it to the journey that he took to her. Yeah. So did he obtain it? To me, that's a no. You know?
But maybe, like with the road, your writer doesn't promise you any eternal happiness. That maybe happiness might be found,
just fleeting,
but only briefly.
Yeah,
and he does get to have his woman, but only briefly. And the father in the road, the man, does get his kid to a warmer zone, but I don't know that it stays warmer. I don't know that the people he finds there are not going to chow down.
About made a really bad joke.
Oh, no.
I was going to say it got warmer for him because he was over that Spitfire. I'll edit that out. Or will I?
Do you know who plays the characters in the movie?
I know Viggo Mortensen is in it. And
I think he's perfect.
Yeah, I think he's
awesome. Guy Pearce plays the man who is in the family that finds the boy at the end. Robert Duvall plays the old man.
Is Jeffrey Wright the guy that he makes strip down? I can't remember. I may be completely wrong there.
What else has Jeffrey Wright been in?
He's in the Daniel Craig Bonds. He's Felix Leiter. He's in Manchurian Candidate. He's
I'm gonna Google
with him. Denzel Washington. He's the guy that's like lost it, but he's at the same time he's figured out what's going on. He's in the Hunger Games in the second one.
This guy.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's the guy.
Okay. For some reason, I thought that was him.
I'm just gonna IMDb the road. Michael Kenneth Williams. That's
okay. Okay, that's my bad.
This guy. That was another thing about the movie. The trailer for it starts off gritty and dark, but at some point you get this rising sweep of strings and hopeful music and everything's up. And I don't know that we're supposed to feel that way.
Yeah.
But the movie, I think, lures you into, we got to carry the fire. There's hope. This will have a good ending and everything. And I don't know that we're supposed to feel that way. It is a complex, nuanced ending.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we're supposed to feel this triumphant, kind of end of it. The movie, the trailer lies to you about that.
Well, that's when they used to do that.
Yeah.
Now they just tell you the whole movie.
Don't.
Okay. What do you rate the book? I mean, I think this is obvious, but what do you rate this book?
5.
I got
a
it.
5 or 4.
Yeah, I've got it at 5 stars too.
Yeah.
It was my favorite book for the longest until I read some of Ely's stuff, and it's like I said, clearly it's impacted me because it's changed the way I parent. It's changed the way that I view life. It's changed, I guess, almost like a legacy. It's changed that mindset of I want to leave more of a legacy with my kids as opposed to just random little memories. I want to leave this lasting presence with them as opposed to just happy times. So clearly it's impacted me.
On the 20-point scale, I'm 19.
Yeah, I'd say I'm like an 18, 19, somewhere around there. Yeah. Okay, how much would you pay for this at McKay's?
I'm so stingy about a lot of I'm stingy about a lot of prices, but I also am a spender on plenty of things too. My gut tells me if it's a paperback, I don't mind spending $8 to $12 on a paperback for this, a good copy of it.
Yeah.
Hardback, I don't mind spending $20 to $25 on a hardback for this.
Man.
Yeah. If I saw a good quality hardback of this, I don't mind. If I could find one that was signed by the Cormac McCarthy, even if it was auto-penned, signed, I'd pay more. Yeah.
Man.
At McKay's,
At McKay's.
But I'm also stingy about some things. I don't know that I would ever pay like $1,000. That's way out of my league,
I'm thinking of it as the way that I go about it. I usually set myself like a $30 to $40 budget, and so I'm really careful with what I pick because I want to leave out there with the most that I can. I don't know. I think for the paperback that I have, the paperback version, I'd probably spend about $7, which I feel like is a lot for me at McKay's. $7 is a lot. That's usually out of the range. If it's getting close to that $10 range, I usually don't even. I'll like pull it out and look and put it back. Because I feel like typically at $10 I can buy it cheaper on Amazon.
That's true. Sometimes, yeah.
So I think I would pay $7, which I'm going Monday. So I'll let you know because the Nashville McKay's has so many copies of The Road.
That's true.
It's the only one they have. I thought about buying No Country for Old Men, and usually they'll have a copy or two of it. They didn't have that. It was just Nothing But the Road, and then there's always a couple of copies of All the Pretty Horses.
Don't you think it's probably because high schools or their AP classes teach it? And
you've mentioned that before. That's
books?
Probably true.
Probably
or like a book club or something. Yeah. But I don't know. I do hate to say this, but I think the Knoxville McKay's usually has more. It usually has more McCarthy, and it usually has more Frazier. So
because it's East Tennessee.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the Holy Land. It's the best part of Tennessee.
Well,
we don't say, wish that I was down on Broadway. We don't say.
We don't, but others do. All those bachelorettes do.
Man. I just did a podcast with some of my sophomores, and one of them's a California girl who moved here.
Oh, yeah.
And I was telling her, whatever we want to say about Californians moving in, I'm so glad to have you here. I love that you're here. And she's like, thanks. I didn't feel that way when we first came because their family went to downtown Nashville, and they went into a place and sat front row to watch somebody. And one of the Nashville locals was like, where are you from? They said, California. And the reaction they got was so venomous. Just, why don't you go back?
Well, thanks for hanging in there. I know it was a long episode, but I think that we talked about some really worthwhile topics. We had a lot to say about this. Like I said, it's one of our favorite books. And when you read something like this and you can pinpoint to a time and say that this book changed the way that I parent, something as important as parenting, That's a really impactful book. So we had a lot to say about that. So thank you again for listening for so long. Hang in there. We got another about 2 minutes here of Annie. This is Annie talking about Mercy Watson. What do you like about Mercy Watson?
Mercy.
But you told me at Wendy's yesterday it was funny.
Because she jumped out the window.
Jumped out the window of what?
At the house.
Can you tell me what happens in the story?
She went to the neighbor's house.
Why?
Because she's trying to save her family.
Why?
Because the family has an earthquake.
Why do they have an earthquake?
I don't know.
So what was so funny about the whole thing?
Because everyone was chasing people.
Why were they chasing them?
Because the neighbors were mad that Mercy was at the house.
Why were they mad about that?
Because in Eugenia's opinion, pigs live in a barn and not belong in a house.
That's good. Why did you want to read the next one?
Because I wanted to see what she does again.
And how far have you gotten?
Probably 10 pages.
And you've been reading this on your own, right?
Yes.
I've not read any with you.
No.
Neither has your mom.
No.
You've done it all on your own.
Yes.
Okay, good job. How many stars out of 5 would you give Mercy Watson? 1 to 5. 5 is really good, 1 is really bad.
5.
How much would you pay for this at McKay's?
$100.
$100? Oh my gosh. This is the greatest book of all time.